Good evening and welcome to Roundtable, your evening show that brings diverse personalities from a different range of fields. Today we have with us a very interesting personality, I should say. He is the former ambassador to the United Nations in Geneva office. So he's none other than Dr. Dayan Jayathilake. And Doctor, you're known to be like a very vibrant and colorful personality, and if I may say so, a bit of a revolutionary personality as well. So we are extremely glad to have you at the round table. And if we can start our discussion, I will ask you, what was the fire in your belly that propelled you to be what you are today?
Oh my God, that's a very good opening question. I didn't expect it, I must say. Good evening to you and the viewers. How can I give a short answer to that? I think there are three factors. One is I was an only child, the son of Mr. Mervyn De Silva, the famous journalist and editor, and Lakshmi, my mum. And these were two very strong personalities, as everybody in Colombo knew. So, as an only child, I suppose I had an option. Either I had to cave in to one or the other, or just fade into the background, or hold my own, because my father always had discussions with me and so on. So I think growing up with two very strong individuals as parents helped to shape my own distinctive individuality. This is one thing. The other thing is that I studied at St. Joseph's College, Colombo, and you had to study the Gospels. I was heavily influenced by the personality of Jesus Christ, whom I saw as a hero and a rebel and a martyr. So this was also a factor which made me conscious of issues of social justice. And then there was a third factor, which is Che Guevara, because I grew up in a certain period of history. The Vietnam War was the most important thing happening in the world, and the figures of Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, and the Latin American revolutionaries was emblematic of that period in history of the late 60s, the 70s. So I was a member of that generation, the Vietnam generation, culturally the Woodstock generation, Jimi Hendrix, rock music, and so on. So the combination of these politically, Vietnam, Che, culturally, Jesus Christ, culturally, Hendrix, and so on, it all fused into making me what I am, I suppose.
That's very interesting, actually. The combination is sort of fascinating. And Doctor, what are the milestones in your life?
Well, another one of those interesting questions. I would say that looking back, the first time I actually disagreed politically with my father was around the age of 14. He was very progressive and liberal, but he was unhappy that the April 1971 insurrection had broken out. The JVP had led an insurrection. Looking back, I think he was wise. But as a 14-year-old, I thought it was a great thing that these young people had risen up in rebellion. So 1971 was certainly a milestone. We're not talking about a personal milestone, but we are talking about a generational milestone. This is one of those. But before that, the death of Che Guevara in October 1967, my travels with my parents throughout Europe in spring 1968, where the whole of Europe was up in rebellion. It was May 1968 was a time when young people were rebelling throughout the world, most so in Europe, and I was traveling with my parents, attending these rallies, listening to very radical young people talking. All of those, that was another milestone. My visits to the Middle East with my dad. But overall, I think the most important milestones in my life were the books I read. Whether it was Karl Marx and Engels' Communist Manifesto or Mao Zedong. I'd read most of these by the time I was in grade 7 or 8 or something like that.
So because I guess your father was a very well-known journalist as well, maybe that must have definitely had an influence and opened the gateways for you all to be an avid reader.
Absolutely. But of course, not everybody goes through the gates that are open. And with my father, I mean, if you didn't measure up, I mean, there was no way he would take an interest. You just had to be good enough in conversation and so on. You had to know what was going on. You had to be smart. And I suppose I did measure up. So he used to talk to me almost as a friend, almost as not an equal, but as a colleague, as a friend. And that did a lot in terms of expanding my worldview. But as I said, fairly early on, I had my own views which went one step further or 2 or 3 steps further than his views. Looking back, maybe he was right, maybe I wasn't, but I was already developing views which were more progressive or more radical than his, and in practical terms, I tried to do things which were, I suppose, riskier than what he had allowed himself to do, which was mainly as a journalist and a commentator. I tried to get involved with things. But the milestones were really intellectual. As I said, the books I read, whether it was Manifesto at 14 or Nietzsche at 40, you know. And also my own experiences in politics, being underground, being a rebel, being a young minister in the Northeastern Provincial Council, working with President Premadasa, being an observer participant in this 30 years of conflict with the Tigers. So all of these have been formative experiences, milestones. Writing my book on Fidel Castro, and struggling with the issue of justice and the ethics of violence. These are the important markers of life. And finally, I think my stint at the United Nations in Geneva was very important.
So if we are going to talk about all those experiences, I guess we are going to sort of use an entire month.
Absolutely. It's going to be like the Arabian Nights. You know,
So now you were referring to your stint at the United Nations. So as a permanent representative, we also know that Sri Lanka achieved huge success when it came to the passing of the resolution, and especially after the end of the conflict. In terms of international relations with respect to Sri Lanka, it was definitely an achievement and a success, and you played a crucial role in it, Doctor. So what can you say about your role and the whole episode about how the international support was given to the resolution?